Hello, everybody. Welcome to the
Yeah.
Africa for Dummies podcast. And in this episode, it's going to be a fireside chat. It's a fireside chat with me and Zenge. And today, Zenge has a very special topic. Why are there so many old African leaders? Are there actually many old African leaders?
Well, I would say so. I mean, among the top 10 leaders, more than five of them, in terms of the oldest leaders and also in terms of the longest serving leaders, they're African. Um, we have this, and the irony is that the average leader in Africa is above 60 years old. The average African is, guess what, under 30.
Uh-huh.
And I'm being generous here saying under 30. Most countries, the average age is around 18, 19, 20. Right? Um,
Uh-huh.
so there is, I'm not saying that youth and young people should be in power, but there will be a disconnect between a president that's
Uh-huh.
much older, and in many cases, the old president has been in power for a long time. So um,
Right.
some of these leaders have been in power for a good chunk of their lives, and at the same time, you are very old.
Uh-huh.
So you don't really have a personal lived experience of what the average person in your country is going through. So I found it very curious. Um, found it very
Okay.
curious. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, you do have that's a really great question. I do think that at some point, there is a level of okay, the thing for me is, right, that I come from Zambia, right? So in Zambia, you've seen different presidents come in and out, different political
Mm-hmm.
parties come in and out. We now have HH who's what, I think 50,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Just no.
So it's
HH is 68. HH is 68,
oh,
I
geez.
think.
It looks great for
Hold on.
68, man. Looks great
Let's
for 68.
fact, fact check that. He's in his late 60s. Yeah.
Wow, really? That's
Although when he
impressive, man.
started
That's
campaigning, when Hichilema started campaigning in his first campaign in 2006, he was 44.
that's crazy. That's really crazy. Resilience, man. But yeah, I mean,
Oh, HH is 63.
I don't know. I think
63.
because yeah, yeah, yeah. I was going to say whoa, but um, what I was trying to say is that I think because in Zambia you do see political changes, you do see presidents go in and out. I don't think you really have that frustration that I see when I meet people from, say, Uganda, for example, right? Um, you know, who've never known anything outside of Museveni, right? And also, when I talked to I think before the whole Mugabe situation happened, Zimbabweans were also expressing the same. Well, it depends on who you're talking to, right? But some Zimbabweans were also expressing the same thing because they had never experienced anything outside of that. So I can definitely see how frustrating that is because I try to picture myself in those shoes. Um, but I would have to say that it's something that again I empathize with, but I can't empathize with fully because I don't know what that's like at
Mm,
100%. I don't know what
yeah.
that's like fully, where it's
Um. Yeah, I
you
find it
can't
very
say
strange.
anything, and yeah.
Yeah, I find it very strange. Just a rundown of the top five longest serving African leaders, still or recently in power. For all of these listed, still in power. Teodoro Obiang Nguema Basogo, president of Equatorial Guinea, and he has been president from 1979
And that one's a sad one, right? Because the what's it called?
for 47 years.
That one is a really sad one because Equatorial Guinea is supposed to be an extremely wealthy. It's extremely
Yeah,
on paper, right?
there was actually
It's supposed to be doing well, but
yeah there was,
in reality, no.
Yeah, there was actually a time when its GDP became it was Africa's highest GDP per capita because it's got its population is like I think around a million. It's less than a million or a million, and
Uh-huh.
they have enormous oil wealth. But there's also a lot of centralization of the currency of the money in groups of related or semi-related elite. His son is the vice president. His son used to be the minister of foreign affairs, and I used to say this literally. He lived in Paris. He took the foreign part literally, um, and he has been charged a number of times for proceeds of corruption in Paris. Uh, Living a very lavish life, really. In this country could easily be Qatar, easily. you know. Um,
Uh-huh.
and then we have Paul Biya, who's the president of Cameroon. He has been president since 1982, right? Since 1982.
Uh-huh.
So that's
I believe his
that's
political
4 years.
slogan was "the best is yet to come."
Yeah, yeah, and he just got re-elected. Was it last year? Yeah, I think last year he got
Uh-huh.
re-elected.
Yep.
Um, yeah, he got re-elected last year, and Paul Biya is what 93, 93 years old.
Uh-huh.
You know, um, the average age in Cameroon is around 18 or 19. Denis Sassou Nguesso, president of the Republic of Congo, not the Democratic Republic of Congo, the smaller Congo, also known as Congo Brazzaville, first took power in 1979 and then returned in 1997. So he has at least been in the presidency for as long as I have been alive. Uh, and then yeah, think about it. Then there's
Uh-huh.
Yoweri Museveni, 1986, who just clocked how many years? 40 years, right? He just clocked 40 years
Mm-hmm.
this in
I think
January.
so.
It was
I
a
need
big
to check again.
celebration. Um, Isaias Afwerki, president of Eritrea, who had been is the first president of Eritrea. He was elected in 1993 after Eritrea split from Ethiopia. Since independence, no elections have been held. Only one parliamentary session happened. So here, there's no bluffing. There's not like it's not like Uganda where there's semi-competitive elections, but everyone kind of is resigned to the fact that the man with the big hat will win. In Republic of Congo, there's an election that Denis Sassou Nguesso I think won by over 80%. Just is it last week, 2 weeks ago? Yeah, Republic of Congo. Paul Biya, we already talked about that election. Teodoro Biangwem, I think there's an election a couple of years ago, a few years ago. Yeah, but I think those are like 7 year terms. I can double check. But I think at the center of this thing also um, is how do they stay in power for a long time? There's money. If you
That was
are
actually going to be
President
my next
Nathan,
question.
yeah, so how do you stay in power for a long time? There's numerous means. You can use changing term limits. You can extend or remove age limits, like Uganda in the 2000s and 2010s. Yeah, they did both. They removed the two-term limits, and then they also changed the age limits because some countries had age limits like 65 or 75, and then somehow the president turns 75 and it's like, you know what? I think we need to allow more flexibility on the age.
Uh-huh.
And somehow the only person this benefits really is the man who is incumbent. And then obviously there's this sort of lawfare style, uh, stifling opposition, like making sure there's an election, but use sort of techniques and methods to ensure that opposition is somewhat paralyzed in its. And lawfare has different. When I say lawfare, I mean different ranges. At the crux of it, lawfare is basically the incumbent being able to entrench power using legal means or manipulating power or manipulating the legal system. So it varies. It could simply be, okay, we're changing term limits, or the in Rwanda there was a revision of the constitution in about 2017, 2018. They
Uh-huh.
basically said that Paul Kagame can serve, or the incumbent president can serve one more 7 year term, and then after that we will enforce new term limits. So it will be only two terms, but 5 years each. However, the incumbent is still eligible to run for that. So what this basically means is the incumbent could run for another 7-year term, and then after that we start a new one. Then he can still run for a 5-year term, and then the last term. So effectively, Kagame will be president until around 2032 or something like that, 2031 or 2034. Sorry, yeah.
I am an African.